Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome to Unregimented number 264. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Rich.
We're just sitting here trying to figure out how to start the show, and we just figured, well, let's just start the show.
Yeah.
Because where do you start? It doesn't feel like any progress has been made since a week ago, right?
You know how no progress has been made? The op-eds are now coming out about the political situation as far as the government shutdown and what Trump should do. They're no longer reporting news. They're reporting people's opinions who've written about it, like in USA Today or whatever the fuck. That's how you know that we're at a stalemate.
But what?
The only news has really been the gossip of, like, who's saying what about the shutdown. Why is it only Trump?
Isn't it two sides refusing to work together? Or isn't it two sides refusing to budge?
Don't you remember Trump saying that he was going to own this shutdown and proudly?
Yep.
Yes. But I've also been watching the news for the last 3 mornings, and it's two sides refusing to work together.
Yeah, but one of them is saying that it's their stance that is causing this situation, and so
correct. But if you're at an impasse with something, two sides refusing to compromise isn't.
Hold on. I would give you that, except for one thing. Trump had all of Congress in his pocket for the first 2 years. Why wasn't this pushed through then? Why is this now an issue?
He couldn't, because he didn't have his support from his own party.
Exactly.
To do it, and he still doesn't.
Now that now that there's one part of Congress is Democratic controlled, he can throw the blame on him. So now he pushes it through, or is trying to push it through, and it makes him look good. It's all fucking. It's bread and circuses, man, is what it is.
Well, he has nothing to lose in this situation. He either gets a wall or he fights for a wall. I think he wins bigger if he gets a wall.
Bigly.
But if he fights in the right ways for the wall and, goes back to his base with the message of, I did everything in my power, and this time, the bad guys won, or the whatever, the dark, what do they call it? The shadow government? The
deep state.
The deep state. Thank you. That's the word. You would just have to say that the deep state won this time. Their propaganda was stronger, but we're going to come back. As long as he keeps it going, it's giving up on it is the only way that he can lose. So that's why there's no end in sight for this. I mean, I know that he talks a lot of nonsense and rhetoric about it, but there's discussions of this lasting months.
They're already planning it lasting. They're already making plans in case it lasts through March. On top of that, the United States' credit rating, if it does last through March, could take a hit.
Yeah,
which is fucking laughable. So, because, at that point, I'm almost like, oh, wait a minute. So everybody's a slave to debt? Even the government, ultimately?
Well, he's not a slave to this. The people are not. I mean, I would definitely support legislation that would make it illegal to do this, because this is really just exploiting a loophole. The way that they are able to partially shut down the government and have that hinge on a spending bill is because it is illegal for a federal employee to spend federal money without a directive from the government. And that directive is the spending bill. So that's why they can't continue to operate. It is illegal for them to spend that money. All we have to do is throw in some language that allows them to continue to operate while they discuss the budget. I know that politics on the scale doesn't always break down to a family analogy, but a lot of it does. And when it comes to spending, just because your budget's out of whack, or you have to sit down and discuss, like, if you have to sit down and discuss your budget with another family member, it doesn't mean that nobody eats. Nobody goes grocery shopping until we figure this out, right? You still operate. Nobody watches any TV until we do the budget. Well, maybe that is how you should operate. But
that's a family that takes a hard line.
Right, but this doesn't go on for months.
No. Eventually, someone's like, "Look, I'm hungry."
TV's on the front lawn,
or maybe you write in something that
kids are roasting squirrels on the pit in the back.
Look.
You know how you make sure this never happens again? You put in language that attaches Congress's paychecks to this shit. You get to miss a paycheck.
Yes, and I think that's fair.
You miss a paycheck.
I think we could do that legally. This isn't one of those things where we're just singling out, a certain group of people. This is making the people responsible for keeping to their word of keeping the government running, right? Isn't that what their paycheck is for? Keeping this shit running?
Okay, be careful, Aaron. You're treading dangerously close to politicians work for us. You know what I'm saying? That's a dangerous way to look at politics in 2018. There are employees. No, they don't like to hear that. But no, and Chris,
you gotta stop letting him do this, though. This is a ridiculous way this is a horrible thing to use government employees as pawns in your political negotiation.
Absolutely. And on top of it, these employees are still going to work. They're not getting paid.
Yeah.
I mean, that
depends on their classification, but if they're deemed essential, but their department that cuts the checks is not essential, then they go to work and they don't get paid.
Yes, that's what I meant. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. But Chris, to get back to what you were saying, I guess I'm strap in, buddy. I guess I'm picking a fight with you. Fuck compromise at this point. He campaigned on, I'm going to build the wall, and Mexicans. Well, yeah, basically. Yeah, Mexico's going to pay for it. He got into office. The president of Mexico was like, shit, bitch, please. I ain't paying for nothing. And he sat on his ass for 2 years. Now all of a sudden he's trying to push it through. Now you want compromise? How about he compromise?
Well, Trump has nothing to gain from compromising.
What in 2 years has led you to believe this will happen?
Trump has compromised on this continually, and now he's out of compromises. And I think if anyone wants to point the finger at a party to blame, it's the rest of the Republican Party that are refusing to tell the king that he has no clothes. They are afraid to speak up against this man and say, we're not really in support of this.
Absolutely. And that is such a thorn in my side when it comes to this subject. Excuse me. Even people in his party are like, oh, this asshole, this motherfucker here.
Yeah.
But they won't say it.
Oh, but publicly they egg him on. Lindsey Graham's like, well, you could just use emergency spending, And they're threatening to keep actually use emergency spending that was supposed to go to California to build the wall and have basically I guess the military is going to do it then, right?
Yep. National Guard contractors.
Right. The military would come in and build the wall for military money. Remember how much that hammer was? How much was that hammer again? Chris, I know you remember. Don't fail me. How much was the
3 digits?
Oh, I can tell you. Oh, the $6,000 toilet seat.
That was one of them, right?
Yeah.
Those will be the guys that are going to build. That you will have a military strength wall on a military budget.
See, this is why, even though I don't agree with the man on most of his outlook, I have to respect a guy like Paul Ryan for just going, I can't be I cannot sit and be party to this nonsense anymore. I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. Like, this is even beyond.
Wait, Paul Ryan didn't quit his party. He's just stepping down. He's not going to run again because he knows that.
No, he's out. He's out of office. He's out as of January 3rd. He was out.
Yeah, I understand that. But I'm saying he didn't get voted out. He said that he wasn't going to run anymore. He might realize that the Republican Party is not something that he has a future with, but he's not going to say that publicly because he still has a full head of hair and he wants to be on Fox.
I absolutely thought he did say that publicly. Like when he was asked what is going on, he's just like, I can't sit and condone what my party has turned into.
Wow, I've read a lot of Paul Ryan quotes, and I've never heard him say anything like that. And I'm not standing on that like it's the word of God. I'm not sure. And by the way, I'd be interested because honestly, I've never heard that out of his mouth. He is just trying. He's not going away silently. He's trying to do this like shift. No doubt we have not seen the last of Paul Ryan, and he may be even more effective as an asshole outside of politics.
Doing a little quick on the fly fact checking. What he did is he distanced himself from the party for the Russia issue. According to this, Ryan criticized Trump for supporting Russia and advocated for more economic sanctions against the Russian government for the interference.
Right.
Okay, so that's where he made the public statement.
It's interesting that he chooses now to. I mean, this is the guy who we all act like we forgot that we have him on tape during the campaign before Trump was elected, talking about I think he's paid by the Russians. I think I think he's paid by Putin. I believe is what he said.
Yeah,
And who was the other one? Rudy
Giuliani.
Yeah. There was two people that he called out, but he said Trump. Somebody said Trump, and why is he doing this? And he said, I think he's paid by Putin. Oh, we're all family here, right? Nobody's going to talk about this. Only, somebody pissed off the wrong intern, I guess.
Well, I remember listening to the tape on NPR, and I mean that's also the infamous tape where he said Barack Obama is not a bad person, which like buried him with a certain sect of the Republican Party. Right. He said, "I just happen to disagree with."
Pointy hat one.
Well, I mean, take it as you will. They might have some white sheets at the dry cleaner. Who knows? Hey, Grand Dragon, how do you keep your sheets so white? Ancient Chinese secret. Ironic, I know.
Right.
But
holes in the sheet, are they like Hasidic or are they?
Or holes better be halal.
Is it Hasidic Jews that do it through the sheet?
Something like that.
Maybe.
Oh no, Jews are just. You know what? We don't do enough Jew bashing on this show. Jews are just as fucked up as any other religion. They've got a bunch of bullshit they believe in too. So
I ain't gonna bash Jews, but I'll bash anyone's religion. I mean, that's fair game.
Wait, whoa. First of all, Jews is not a race; it's a religion. It's like saying Christians.
I mean, no, it's not really.
No, it's the opposite.
To be considered, Rich. Yeah.
Jewish is a race of people.
You can't convert your race unless you're racial, whatever.
You're talking about Judaism. Judaism is the religion.
To be considered a Jew, to be Jewish, means that your mother was a Jew.
Yes.
But Semitic people are Jewish.
That's the only way, right? Your mother was a Jew. That is how you become a Jew. They're
the pure Jews, the real Jews.
Yes. The thoroughbreds.
Kind of like the Aryan Brotherhood doesn't look at people of Irish descent as really white. You're not truly white. It's like, how white I gotta be, motherfucker? Have you been to Ireland?
Right. And certainly being that this is people that we've thrown all across the world, it's not a clear lineage. I'm sure there's some people that have been accepted in as Jews, but the woman who
Sammy Davis Jr. was a Jew.
Right.
So, I mean, when you have him and German Jews, I'm like, okay, I understand the argument that in their mind that they're a race, but in my mind, you're a religion, you're a belief. And I understand that there might be some inter-Jewy fighting about who's a real Jew and who's not, but that doesn't concern me. Right. At the end of the day, you don't check Jewish as your fucking race.
But it is, I mean, it's all tangled up. Like in America, I can picture crowbarring Jesus out of your average American who has, plenty of other things to latch on to, like, consumerism and TV and all of these models. What?
Oh,
but
hold on a sec. Do you hear that?
Yes.
Yeah, where's that voice coming from?
Oh shit, my bad. Okay, this is something new that Skype's never done before.
Was it playing ads during our show?
No, it was an ad on a page I looked up. It started playing, and you guys heard it. I've never had you hear anything playing on my browser while I've been on Skype before. Now, what the fuck were we talking about? Jews.
Yeah.
Well, I learned while we were doing that there's 3 types of Jews. That's what I was sending you.
These are the Jews I know.
I know, right? These are the Jews I know. Let me find my place in the article again.
Okay, so I was correct on that. It's passed down from the mother, but they can also undergo the what?
Well, no, that's one of the Jews.
No, I know, I understand, but it's passed down like I passed my blue eyes onto him. I passed my Jewishness onto him. He's so nebbish. Don't worry about him. He gets it from his mother's side. No, it's just I understand.
I'm a man of science, and I don't know the correct terms.
No, it's not you. It's not you. It's just it's such bullshit. Ultimately, it's nonsense. It's just nonsense.
But that's what I was, before we kind of glitched out there for a second, that's what I was trying to get at. How do you separate that from, I understand that you do have people who are, what would you call them, secular Jews? Or is that the term? Just non-religious people who still consider
John
that.
Stewart.
It's just the people who are have some blah blah blah, born to a Jewish family, regardless whether or not they follow the religion.
Right.
Yeah, they might go to temple twice a year. That's why a lot of temples have Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. They might go to, and so that temples have retracting walls like the
non-practicing Jew.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I bet you on the deathbed, they're still like, oh shit, hedge my bets.
Why? There's no hell in the Jewish faith. There's no hell. Save you from what?
Oh, that's right.
That's the awesome part about being a Jew.
That's the awesome part. No fear of hell.
Yeah.
How do we even get here? Are we having the great Jew debate?
Follow the ride. See where it goes.
I have no idea. Look, I'm just gonna quote, like I said, Doug Stanhope. I don't do enough Jew bashing, so here it is. That's our Jew bashing for the year.
Who's bashing?
That's not right. But if you speak critically of something, that's considered bashing by certain people these days. These people most likely don't listen to our podcast, so I'm not worried about it. Like people that are that sensitive about a subject. If you got that big of rabbit ears about shit, this ain't the show for you, sweetheart.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Electrical pros, the Home Depot can help you put safety first with a 4-pack of Kidde FireX hardwire smoke detectors for just $39.97. Order these interconnected smoke alarms online and you put safety first. And that's followed by $10 savings on each pack, free delivery, and peace of mind knowing you got the right brand for fire safety. See? Put safety first and everything else follows when you order a 4-pack of Kidde smoke detectors for just $39.97. Only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Hey, as long as we're in that neighborhood, let's talk about Louis C.K. What the fuck is going on with this guy? And
God,
what the fuck is he gonna do?
I didn't realize you wanted to argue, Aaron. Okay, go ahead.
I don't want to argue, because I'm kind of conflicted on it. We don't need to go back over this. You know how much I've enjoyed Louis C.K.
I'm conflicted because of information that you told me that I went and looked up that makes me go, he's a fucking asshole. Okay, when I thought it was literally just him asking females, hey, do you mind if I jerk off in front of you? And them, because he's Louis C.K., thinking, oh, this is a joke. Yeah, okay. And then he whips out his abnormally pink wiener and starts going to town on himself. and they're like, oh, I'm. If I was one of them women, I would be shocked into just, I don't know what to do. Do I watch? How often am I going to be able to tell this story? This is going to go over in the green room at the next fucking seller crowd. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
because there's two ways that you can go with that type of behavior. You can consider that person to be maybe somebody who is just a pervert, maybe had some issues in the past, not expressing themselves in a healthy way, and their newfound fame and fortune is causing them to spin out of control with that type of behavior. Or you can say that this person is kind of a bully and has really been that their whole life, and this is just the sexual side of Louis C.K. the bully.
But at the same time, when you read up on the type of people that are prone to this type of behavior, it's yes, there. If you're looking through it, if you're looking at it through the lens of agenda-driven, angry as fuck feminism, he's a predator. He's a bully. He's imposing his sex on a woman. If you look at it through cold, detached psychology, for the most part, it's something happened to him during his sexual development where he doesn't feel worthy to have sex, but he still needs to express himself as a sexual human being, and it came out twisted as fuck like it does.
Yeah, but I'm not buying that explanation personally. I think it's just I don't know. I think he's just a bully. I think we've seen other examples of this behavior.
Well, I mean, I do know that one of his main detractors, Tig Notaro, he was very, very instrumental in getting her into the spotlight as much as she is. And if I remember correctly, I might be misremembering Bigley here. Forgive me if I am. He never did that with her. He just was like, you're a good comedian. I'm going to put you in the spotlight as best I can because you deserve it, which is what he did with Lucky Louie, his sitcom-like show on HBO. He put Jim Norton in the spotlight, and it's what he did with Louie, the show that he had on FX. He had a ton of comedians on there. The whole thing was. This is
not the type of thing that you do and just test with a wide variety of people and see what you can get away with. This is a thing that you do with certain people that you feel like they're not going to freak out or they're not going to tell anyone or whatever. Tig Notaro is not going to sit there and watch him fucking masturbate, and she's probably going to chew him out if she thinks that he's serious about it, right?
Yeah, because he's barking up the wrong tree, first of all.
Well, right, but I take your point, but I would argue how much Louis C.K. has done for Tig Notaro, because Tig Notaro had a kind of decent career as an alt comedian that he then helped do things like I think she's had like a Netflix special, or she's done other things like stuff that's more mainstream. So maybe he got some eyeballs on her that wouldn't have seen her before, but ultimately I don't think she's the type of comic that's going to be able to maintain that type of, especially these days, what it takes to be a mainstream comic. Somebody that, like we thought Louis C.K. was going to be. Is what we used to have in the '80s with like Eddie Murphy and these guys that could sell out stadiums.
No, I got you. I'm going by when it comes to the type of doors that he opened for Tig Notaro. I'm going by what Anthony Kuma or Cumia? Chris Cumia. What he said on multiple podcasts in since this story first broke. It's not just the mainstream doors. It's taking her on tour, having her open at places that would have never ever put her on stage. You know what I'm saying? Like keeping a steady paycheck rolling in to where she's no longer a starving comedian, an open micer, if you will. She's now working her way up to headlining in places that, to be brutally honest, she'd have never got her foot in if it wasn't for him. Now, having said that, this is what makes me conflicted. The stories that all seem to be back channel grumbling, by the way, nothing's been accused in the mainstream media, but about him going through his people to discredit the people, the women he did this in front of, that he jerked off in front of. That is what sticks in my craw. I mean, you have a situation like with Sarah Silverman where she was like, yeah, he jerked off in front of me. I gave him permission and I watched him jerk off. Why wouldn't I? It's Louis C.K. and he's jerking off. And that's such a Sarah Silverman way to look at it that I believe her. But I also understand that she is a fucking unicorn when it comes to that type of behavior. You know, and by the way, if he wasn't Louis C.K. and he was jerking off in front of her, she'd have probably emasculated him about the size of his dick and then made a bit about it and then did a whole show about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's because that's how she deals with things.
I've never done anything like that before. Just kind of
jerked off in front of a woman?
No, I've jerked off in front of a woman that, you know, I was...
You were sure wanted to see it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
we were already having some sort of... It wasn't my intro, you know?
Wasn't your opening line is, can I jerk off in front of you? By the way, that's a gangster-ass opening line. Right. If you deliver that with confidence, you got balls of brass, bro.
I'm telling you that I can, and I guarantee you every guy that I know can take every woman that he knows and has ever met and put them in two clear categories of would they let me get away with this shit?
Oh, absolutely. You know who the freak is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could I pull this off and not be like, you know, have something thrown at my head?
Which means Sarah Silverman is a trooper in the bedroom, which just makes her more fuckable, in my opinion. I love you, Sarah Silverman. Call me, honey. I'll sexually disappoint you for like 30, 45 seconds. Be the worst seconds of your life. Dude, she's a trooper because he knew. You know what I'm saying? He knew. You're absolutely right. He knows.
Okay, but here's the thing. Not everyone's Sarah Silverman, right? He knows that Sarah Silverman's going to let him get away with it, but he also knows that there's other girls that are going to do it because they don't feel that confident about themselves, and it shows.
I have to say, the only thing that takes away from the power dynamic that these angry feminists try to throw in there and say, oh, the only reason they let him do it is because they were afraid of him. The only thing that takes away from that narrative is the fact that he's been doing it his whole career. Before he was Louis C.K. When he was Louis C.K., when people were mispronouncing his name at the open mic nights, he was doing this shit. I
think that only solidifies my point. I mean, we're not that far. We're not that far here. Like, and I know that you'll correct me if I.
How Caucasian of me.
I hope you would. But to me, you're saying that you used to think that he was just kind of sick and needed some help, and now it turns out that he's also an asshole. So what's the fucking point? I'm just going to write him off as a creep.
I would say,
and I'm saying it's all connected. I'm agreeing with you, but I'm saying yes, but that's all one thing. Louis C.K. has a long history of being a bully to people around him, and
yes,
I was fooled. I was fooled by the big teddy bear. The crazy masturbation jokes.
I would absolutely agree with you, but I have to put this little like asterisk after bully. The crowd he comes from, the comedy crowd he comes from, the Comedy Cellar, the tough crowd with Colin Quinn, those guys are vicious. Those comedians, men and women, are vicious with each other. If you show up with the wrong shirt, that's an entire night's worth of ball busting. It never stops. And
that's a totally different thing. That's not what we're talking about.
But wait a minute. So the bully part, that's why I buy it. I'm trying to back your point up. If you listen to me, that's why I buy it, because that's the type of comedy he does. He doesn't do Ellen DeGeneres, let me dance for you, and I'm the safe lesbian, shit. He's always been. he was on Saturday Night Live, what, 3 or 4 years ago? It's been while we're doing, he hosted it, while we've been on, this show, this podcast. And his opening monologue was about, I hate child molesters. They're repulsive, but damn, molesting a child must be good because they know what happens if you get caught, yet they still do it.
Right.
And it was funny. It was fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, okay. So what about the recent controversy over his choice of material?
I have no problem with his choice of material.
Yeah,
I have no problem with the Parkland shooting material.
Mm-hmm. You're easily offended. Maybe you shouldn't be going to a comedy club.
Exactly. What the fuck are you there for? Now, there's also this fact that I've heard multiple comics on podcasts over the last couple of weeks talk about. This is why more and more comics hate doing impromptu shows, because people whip out their phones and they record it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, look, this is us literally working out our craft in front of a crowd. Comedy is a craft you need to work out in front of a crowd. Most comics don't sit in a room, stare at a wall, and write jokes. They take it in front of a crowd and they see what works and they see what doesn't. They see the beat they need to have. They see the timing they need to have. To me, in my mind, this is a horrible human being. Louis C.K. was caught trying to work out new material in his post-jack-off fucking world in front of a crowd, and it wasn't meant to be put on the internet. It was meant to be...
certainly.
It was meant... We as musicians, we rehearse with each other. We can jam with each other. We can make mistakes with each other, and it doesn't matter. Comedians need to have the crowd. That's part of their art. And yes, it is an art form. As George Carlin called it, it's a low art form, but it is an art form. Okay? And this is why so many comics are like, fuck impromptu, I showed up at the Comedy Cellar. Oh, hey, look, it's Louis C.K. Get up and do 15 minutes. Louis C.K. can get up and do 15 minutes and kill the crowd and be safe. He was literally making the attempt to be funny and not just stepping over the line, pole vaulting over that motherfucker. And that's where funny lies, in my opinion, because I'm a fan of his type of comedy. I'm a fan. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan of comedy that makes you uncomfortable. We could all be like, if a plane crashes, they can recover the black box. Why don't they make the whole plane out of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck that type of comedy.
What is the deal with airline food?
Yeah, those people are cocksuckers that need to be fucking shut down as quick as possible. Not shut down. Let them have their fucking stage. Put them on CMT with the douchebag with the, I'm a jalapeno on a stick. That motherfucker. And the rednecks and the mitters will find them fucking hilarious. Louis C.K. goes for something more visceral, goes for more of the gut laugh, more of the, Jesus fucking Christ, I just laughed at something I didn't think I was capable of laughing at. That set was him working it out. Now, if you ask me my opinion of the set, I think he was spot on with the Parkland shooting. David Hogg, you're not special because you survived. Maybe if you got shot, you'd be special. But, just because I might be in the room when someone paints a great portrait doesn't make me special. So what the fuck? Whether you find it funny or not, it's valid for him to try to work that out in front of a crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the particular piece that was played was, I thought it was not funny, and whoever the guy that was closest to the microphone really sounded like he was pushing it. I did not buy that guy's laugh, but that being said, it wasn't a snippet from his new Netflix special, and I didn't hear any more of the set. And I could imagine that it's not like that subject is never going to be funny to me. Louis C.K. seems to have a knack for writing jokes that it allows him to go there and still make it funny, where you're like, wow. You're like you were saying, I didn't think that you could actually make child molestation funny, but there you go.
Louis C.K. is one of those people.
So he can, but overall, like, now that I just have this impression, I don't think that he's some horrible human being.
No,
I don't despise him. I think he's an asshole, right? And what does that really mean? Like, I'm not going to buy a Louis C.K. T-shirt.
Well, no, they don't make. Well, they don't make them in Omar the Tent Maker made him size. So no, I'm not. But you, a medium. Yeah, I mean, I could.
He's not going to be the guy that I go out and see when he comes to town. Because I could go support people that were funny and I thought were good people. Well, there is that option.
You're kind of making my point on the whole situation is all of this pearl clutching about him trying to stage a comeback and all this. Like, guess what? The free market will bear it out. There's an audience still for him. They'll be there. If there's not, he'll fall flat on his face and he won't have a career. But to sit here and get all indignant into like declare
but
he should
know what it,
like it's
this the way that particular clip, I have no idea what the rest of his set was about or like at all, but that particular clip going out, what that sounds like to a lot of people out there is that this is Louis C.K. trying to rebrand himself as some sort of alt-right comedian.
Exactly. There we go.
He's going to be the one that goes there
really?
on the issues that
that's what some people took away from this.
Chris.
Yes.
Wow.
Chris. Yes. And what? By the way, we're talking about the root, Deadspin, Kotaku.
That's what people took away from
this. Yes, that's what that
Twitter
group of people talk
big time.
Wow.
Okay, well, first of all, we need to really start qualifying the fact. We don't need to qualify. We just need to state this fact. 10 people on Twitter who start a hashtag and other people share it doesn't mean America. Because I'm so tired of hearing America's reaction. And I'm like, oh, you talked to all of America? No one called me. No, I didn't. I didn't get called. Oh, we saw it on Twitter. Okay, you know what that takes? It literally takes either you bumping it with the edge of your thumb or clicking it with your mouse. That's how much you're outraged. Oh my God, I did the absolute least I could do to be outraged about this.
And don't forget, they might have typed a snarky comment. Might have been
sniping from the sidelines. Yes. Exactly, which is what Twitter's for. It does, news, breaking news, it does that very well. But for the most part, once you get past that, it's sniping from the sidelines. It's being able to be a snarky fuck without getting in the game. And to me, if you're going to chirp at the players, get your ass on the field. But, that's too much for a lot of people. It's easier just to snipe from the sidelines, to yell at the players from the stands. And it's fine. You have absolutely every right to do that. No one's going to say you don't. And when it comes to Louis C.K., Aaron, you turned me around on this, man, to the point where I almost have a little bit of resentment towards you. But at the same time, listen to me. Wait, let me flow. At the same time, I got much more love for you because you kind of opened my. You were like Stanley Kubrick style, opened my eyes and made me watch the shit. Why as you put eye drops in? We're like, look, this motherfucker ain't just the dude who's sexually frustrated and
and a lot of these
does
things
weird shit. He tried to ruin people's careers actively through back channels.
A lot of this is rumors. Like, we don't really have anything solid to even talk about, but still, like, there's enough smoke there to just say, like, is this somebody that you want to throw your hard-earned dollars at?
I'm going with the Eddie Griffin way of looking at it. If someone's been saying some shit about you for over 10 years, that shit's true. All right, for 30 years, we heard Michael Jackson likes to sniff little boys' booty holes. That shit was true. We heard for 20 years, we heard Whitney Houston smoked crack. Well, that bitch is dead from cocaine. All right. And, now we're hearing about this about Louis C.K. Well, you know what? Then he's a fucking asshole. All right. And, here's the thing. I'm with you. I wouldn't pay to see him, but God damn it, I'll watch his special if it's free. And I'll giggle my motherfucking ass off if he says a funny joke. I can't. I'm sorry.
But
if that makes me a bad person, so fucking be it.
But there's a Don Rickles side to this, right? Don Rickles was a comedian that was known for being offensive. That was his thing. He was going to call people out on race and on anything. Everything was fair
Don
game.
Rickles is one of my heroes. Yeah, go ahead. No,
yeah,
I want to see where you're going with this.
Don Rickles could make jokes about people of other races because everybody knew that Don Rickles was the least racist guy in Hollywood.
Ding, fucking ding. Right
and
there.
That's the only way it works. And if Louis C.K., I think, has passed his limit for me of his material being effective. It's not that I don't think that he could be an asshole and be funny, right? Because that is possible. I think Andrew Dice Clay is an asshole, and I think he's funny.
Andrew Dice gay. I'm over here now. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Sir. But his particular shtick is that part of what works for Louis C.K. is that he's looking at things from a different angle, but he's couching it in a way that he's like, aren't you seeing this too? Like, we're the same. Like, I'm just one of you people seeing the world like we all see it, and I'm the only one who is actually saying these things out loud, right? Louis C.K. made millions of dollars being the little voice in your head that you tried to silence when you thought about those weird things that that might be funny, but I would never tell anybody that because they would think that I would support that. And he goes up on stage and says it. But if that comes out of the mouth of somebody you think is a creep that you can reasonably distance yourself from, like, no, there's something majorly that differentiates me from Louis C.K. He's a millionaire asshole who likes to abuse people.
Okay, but
so he doesn't have the perspective to show you his material from, and that's where I think I don't. It's not that I'm gonna determinedly not watch his material if it comes back up on Netflix. It's that it's not going to have the same effect on me. It's not going to be as funny to me.
Here's the issue, in my mind: if he had just asked females if he could jerk off in front of them, and they said yes, whether or not they thought he was going to do it for real. And then he did it, okay? And none of them ran to the cops.
Mm-hmm.
None of them pressed charges. I would go, wow, homeboy's got some weird fucking sexual shit going on. And we all do. All right? I mean, I'm gonna be brutally honest here. Do any of us three want our porn history read on air? I guarantee you no, okay? I guarantee you no. But what you said stuck in my craw to the point where I went and did my own research, which was through back channels, through his people. He tried to tear these women down. That is his biggest sin in my mind. And I understand that in a lot of feminists' mind, oh no, the fact that he jerked off. Okay, well, if I ask you, can I kiss you, and you say yes, and then I kiss you, is that rape? Is that sexual assault? No. Shut the fuck up, bitch. No one gives a fuck about what you got to say. In fact, I'm hungry. Go make me a sandwich. All right? Get the fuck out my face with this bullshit. And I don't care if it was his people doing it without him giving the high sign. The minute he found out about it, if he was as truly as contrite in his apology as his public apology that he released, he would have fired them and said, I never told them to do this. They did this on their own. I never fucking said to do this.
And I think you're on the most likely scenario. That is the simplest explanation. It is in the realm of possibility that none of this is true. Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
what do you? I mean,
Aaron, I don't want to crawl over the minutia of this anymore. It's not really just about how he prefers to jerk off or or who he abuses. It's all of it. It's a whole package that adds up to a creep. Does he have any career left, though? Where does he go from here?
Yeah, he has a career left. He has a career in the smaller venues where this is going to happen over and over again until it becomes white noise. He's going to
go back to being like Artie Lang.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's a damn good good comparison.
He's not going to host SNL ever, but
no.
People,
he might write another Pootie Tang under a ghostwriter's name.
He's never going to breathe through his nose again either.
Yeah. Artie Lang's nose. What the fuck's up with that? But anyways, yeah, absolutely. I think his career he's going to be able to make a living as a comic. And yes, you're absolutely right. The people that try to paint him into this corner is now he's the alt-right comic.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to last.
Yeah,
I think that's hope. That was wishful thinking on the alt-rights that they would have a comedian that would be on their side.
Yeah, the first time he breaks with the mental doctrine of the hardcore beliefs of the alt-right, that's going to come to an end.
Yeah.
It's going to be done and over with. Then he's going to be a man without a country. Then he's on his own. And that's where he's going to remain. I truly think that. Now, is there some way he can get redemption? We're talking, 20 years in the future. Maybe if he stays underneath the pop culture awareness enough to where we could forgive him we, as in, pop culture, could forgive him 20 years from now. Mm-hmm. Who's to say? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But for the near future, yeah, he's pretty much, he knows where his path is.
He's at a crossroads right now, though, right? I mean, outside of just disappearing and quitting comedy completely, if he manages to pull like a real career out of this shit. I mean, let me lay out my thinking here a little bit more linearly. If none of this shit happened to Louis C.K., if it didn't come out that he was an asshole at all to anyone, and we just believed him to still be the big teddy bear that says crazy shit, then eventually he was showing us that he was showing the world that he wanted to do other things than just stand up, clearly. Yeah, and not even just a TV show. He was like, I want to do other things with this show. So he could have been like another Woody Allen. Well, maybe that's an apt example of somebody who's just like so crazy talented that we forgive him for his creepiness until he just starts spurting out comedies, and we're like, yeah, you can just shut up now.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
Roman Polanski,
right. 4 years pretty kind to Woody. Like there hasn't been people out there denouncing him. People still do his movies.
And guys, we're
he
forgetting,
gets shit done, but Woody's not Woody the way he used to be. He doesn't have the same power. His movies don't have the same pull, and they're certainly not of the same quality.
What we're forgetting is that Louis C.K. may have inadvertently, but he still did by the way, he was all 10 fingers involved in his show. He was very aware of every single thing: editing, writing, lighting, everything in his show.
He learned from Lucky Louie that he needed to have complete control over everything, or else it wasn't going to be the product that he wanted.
We're forgetting that this is the man that put one of the greatest scenes in a comedy on television, one of the most apt and honest scenes, which was him talking to his daughter, and he goes, "You never look into the other person's bowl to see how much food they have, and if they unless they have less than you." AKA, don't worry about what they have if they have enough. Only worry about them if they don't. And that may be a sentiment that comes off corny. So fucking be it. I don't care. Then I'm a cornball, whatever. But to me, that is a great message that this entire fucking country needs to hear and needed to hear. And it came from a very flawed man. Now the question is, are we as a country able to accept good advice from flawed people.
We have a long history of doing so, right? But a sudden intolerance for it, I think that this is a passing phase. This is an adjustment to information overload. Now that we have TMI syndrome, like we just used to be blissfully ignorant, right? Did it really matter that JFK was banging anyone, much less Marilyn Monroe? Probably not. Probably worked out better. You know, that he could blow off a little steam somewhere.
Bitch, stop saying like that. My wife is here. My kids.
After almost, destroying the world. But I think this is, in general, this is going to pass over. Does that mean that everybody that has been swept up in all this Me Too shit is going to get their career back? No. Absolutely not. Like, once you're gone, you're gone. So long, Kevin Spacey. I don't want to hear your weird rambling Christmas message. Like the world has signed off on you. You're done.
See, here's the thing. Where I'm conflicted about Louis C.K., I'm just like, oh, Kevin Spacey. I top 5 actors of my generation. I mean, I put him in that list.
That is a real shame. I know, and I know a lot of people think that there's too much hype for him, but what couldn't he fucking do?
That bullshit with his
play a different role.
With
I heard it on a podcast this week. I didn't think about it till you think about it. He pretty much just played the same character.
Yeah. No, well, okay. Eat a dick.
He absolutely
Eat a dick.
Did
whoever
not.
said that. Okay. You watch Glengarry Glen Ross. You watch Glengarry Glen Ross and watch him play the sniveling at the heel of the bosses. Okay.
He had a
piece of shit versus his role in Seven. Those are and then you watch him do both in The Usual Suspects. Okay. Get the fuck out my face with that bullshit. Come on, man. Whatever podcast you were listening to, they're idiots about that subject, at least.
Yeah. And what about K-Pax?
Dude, you know
what?
Look, I know that that's a much maligned movie. I love that fucking movie. I really do.
Well, but I think my point stands. So the problem with the movie wasn't Kevin Spacey.
I just love the movie because it's look, and this is where you scratch the surface of a cynic and you find a really disappointed idealist.
No,
like,
I
enjoyed
the movie too.
That movie came out when I was young enough where I was like, I could believe in this. If I saw that movie now, I'd be like, this is some bullshit. The fuck is this nonsense? Why am I wasting my time?
I don't know that we have that much, that many movies or stories in our current culture that represent that type of storyline, right? The Fisher King, right?
Great movie.
By
the way,
is he crazy or is he magic, right?
By the way, Fisher King, K-Pax, both starred Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. They're the same fucking movie, basically. It's like, is this guy crazy or is he really an alien or magic or whatever? And
here's the thing, halfway through the movie, I'm like, I kind of think he's an alien, but no, I know he's not. This movie, it's not one of those movies. I kind of think
last one I can think of that kind of did that was Thor, but then they quickly resolved that as he's an alien god. So,
well, the only thing I remember about the original Thor movie was, God damn, what's up, Natalie Portman? Yeah, but anyways, that's just
So yeah, I agree with you on Kevin Spacey. I think that he is a great actor who is just too much of a creep to want to support.
Well, I mean, I know we've touched on it before, but I mean, can you separate the artist from the art?
Yeah.
And to me, actors are easier to do because they're playing roles. That's not them on the screen. That's not their true self. Their true self is the one who's sitting in court getting, whatever. When it comes to music, well, that's a little rough for me. That's a little rougher for me because it's such a
Right,
personal
because the
thing.
actor's putting the mask on and the musician's taking it off.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Black Twitter blew the fuck up over this R. Kelly, expose that was on Weird.
Clue me in on this because I don't know. I heard that there was a new charges filed against him.
Okay,
right?
I don't know anything about that. I just know that I've tried to watch it online without having a cable subscription. I can't find it. But I've listened to maybe a grand total, no bullshit, in my car while driving, 3 to 4 hours of conversation about it on NPR. And
what is it, though?
The R. Kelly documentary about how he essentially preys on teenage girls.
And there's charges that stem from the release of this documentary?
I don't know about that.
There are now.
Are there?
At least there's been an investigation opened.
Okay, thank you.
By a police
I knew
department.
there was something.
Because the whole, R. Kelly piss tape, that was, fucking over a decade ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's been done and over with. He was acquitted of all charges. They can't hit him with double jeopardy on that one. But if there's new shit, I don't know about it. But I will say this: there's a lot of, how do I put this? There's a lot of things that I've heard that it's just, once again, where there's smoke for 20 years, there's got to be fire.
Oh,
And I mean, this goes back to the early 90s with his relationship with Aaliyah. It's been a poorly kept secret in the music industry through people who report on it, that R. Kelly would do a show, get off stage, the groupies would come backstage, and he'd look for the one who's in the corner looking like she's 14 with, glasses and pimples. And he'd go over and, hey, baby, do you want me to sing for you? And all that bullshit. I've been hearing that since the 90s.
well, if there is some shit to find, I bet you they're going to find it because in seeking information on this, there was a story that came out this afternoon that there was a search warrant issued for his, I guess he has a warehouse that he's using as a recording studio and a residence. So he lives there and he records there. And they got him on a zoning issue. He's not supposed to be living or running a business out of there without a license.
Housing 12, 13-year-old girls.
Well, possibly also that.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah.
So they now have access to it. They're going to go in there and see what's up with his digs. So,
Well, I mean,
but that's kind of different because, like, who the fuck's R. Kelly? I mean,
No,
this
but
guy's career has been lengthened by his drama and accusations and all that nonsense.
this is your whiteness talking. That's I'm just being brutally honest with you.
All right.
Patrice O'Neill broke it down back in the day. And by the way, this man died in 2011. In 2009, he said this. He goes, the world that white people exist in and the world that black people exist in, two separate worlds. And the minute a black person becomes a favorite of white people, for the most part, the black community is done with that person. R. Kelly never became the Michael Jackson, okay? Most white people knew R. Kelly from I Think I Could Fly. Most black people knew R. Kelly through I Don't See Nothing
Bump and
Wrong.
Grind.
Yeah, and he stayed true to that shit. He knew his target audience, and he played to it, all right? And there was a whole Boondocks episode about it.
But
Be good.
Can I still be right on believing that his music's all shit?
Well,
It's not like any great loss if the guy just goes away.
All of his music?
All of it. All right, so I haven't heard everything.
Okay, well, look, man. That's
Maybe
a matter
it's
of opinion.
Some gems. Maybe there's a B-side that he did that really sticks out. But
I think the remix to it, This is the remixed edition of the song about pissing. You know, like that's a jam. I'm sorry, that's a jam. You put that on at a party, nobody's ass is not moving. Even the whitest of white motherfuckers is in the corner just shaking his ass a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like just a little bit. That's a jam.
Right. Dude, whoop, there it is a jam.
Okay, but
but
are we artistically?
What is that?
Oh, it's all garbage artistically. But I mean, you know, as far as
because I mean, what are we really talking about? I mean, only because you framed it in separating the art from the artist, I have to say that his art is shit and not worth separating from anything. Like, let it all go down the toilet.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I think Black Twitter would have more of a problem if R. Kelly disappeared with his art than the white Twitter sphere. Let's put it that way. I think because
I believe you that he has more black fans than white.
It is amazing the amount of black women that come out in support of him, and I'm just like, why are you? You're 40 and you're a black woman. You are 29 years past his fucking where he's looking for. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you hoping to get out of this? He good. Okay. And
they're just appreciating.
Oh, well, you know,
they're not, unless they're waiting outside of his dressing room.
And if they are, they're going to be seriously disappointed as he pushes past them to get to the 13-year-old that's standing behind him. You know, their daughter.
Why would you tell anyone how much you love Natalie Portman?
Maybe
because you're trying to get a message out to her.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they're like, R. Kelly pissed on my daughter. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Rich,
I'm famous by piss proxy. Yeah.
Rich, here's another couple things to support what you're saying, the difference between Black America and white America with this guy. His sales and streams have spiked since that documentary has come out.
So I'm telling you, it's lengthening his career. It's keeping him in the spotlight.
Absolutely. And you know why? Because the people around him who are parasites who live off of him are like, we only get paid if he gets paid. So, yeah, throw him in the spotlight. And he lives in the R. Kelly world. Okay, remember when Kevin Smith told the story about filming the shit for Prince and living in Prince world?
Mm-hmm.
That's what R. Kelly lives in. And the people around him, yes, they might dip into R. Kelly world, but they have to come out and dip into the real world where they got to pay bills. And they realize this is our paycheck. And we're going to ride this motherfucker until they throw him in prison. If they never throw him in prison, we're going to ride this motherfucker to a mansion in the Hollywood Hills. And it's exactly what is going on. These are parasites feeding off of him, and ultimately, he's a fucking predator. This is how fucked up the world is, but we let it go on. We don't call anybody out for it. Why? That's too real. Stop being a hater.
Well,
Stop
we do.
bringing us down.
No, but we call certain people out for it, and others we don't.
We tried to call R. Kelly out. By the way, we sounds like white America tried to call R. Kelly out, but the legal system tried to call R. Kelly out in the 2000s, and it didn't work. So now they have to get him on some other shit. And like Chris said, they're getting him on, oh, you're not here. This is not zoned for this.
It's really tough to get some guy on, banging an underage chick when she shows up in a miniskirt backstage at the show.
Well, I mean, especially if she's like, never happened. That's it. That end of investigation. If she says, I never fucked him.
Yeah.
End of investigation, no crime. And now you want to talk about power, leveraging power for sexual acts? Yeah, this is one of those situations. And by the way, before anyone who might be listening gets all, oh, he calls the Negro out on it. No. Ted Nugent's guilty of it. Jimmy Page was guilty of it.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Oh, shit. Big time. In fact, they made a fucking movie about that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Most of your fucking rock and roll, hip hop, whatever idols have been guilty of this at one point or another. End of story. So don't get on me just because we're talking about R. Kelly. Because, yeah, I think the man's a pedophile. And I got to give it up to, I don't like John Legend as an art. I think he's a milquetoast motherfucker, corny ass brother, whatever you want to call him. That motherfucker came out in that documentary and was like, yeah, fuck him. He's a pedophile. He needs to go to prison. That took balls. Go ahead, John Legend. I got your back. You know what I'm saying? Like, that took fucking balls, especially in the black community. Because you know what's going to happen now? The people that support R. Kelly are going to go, John Legend ain't our nigga. He's y'all's nigga now, meaning white people. He's your Negro, not ours anymore. And if you don't think that's going to happen or it's possible to happen, let's go back to 1995 and look at OJ.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, absolutely. He's a pedophile. He's a scumbag. Needs to be in prison. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. He's got more money than justice. He's got enough money to buy justice for him. That's the problem.
Good times.
Now that I brought the show down, little anniversary just happened. Gotta say, it was one that I was a little excited for and heard a little bit of news about. 20th anniversary of the premiere of The Sopranos happened on, I believe, the 9th of January.
And 20 years since the premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And right before, I mean, we've known there's going to be a prequel movie from, oh shit, who's the guy that, who's the guy that actually come up? David Chase. Okay, we knew there was going to be a prequel movie, and it was going to be called The Many Saints of Newark, which was going to focus on Newark, New Jersey, obviously, and I believe 1968. And the riots and the racial tension that happened then. But the thing that got Sopranos fans, such as myself, a little excited was the announcement that, yes, there will be somebody playing the role of a young Tony Soprano.
Yeah. But this is going to be a really young Tony Soprano, right? I mean...
Gotta be. Like what? Like maybe at tops 13?
Yeah.
You know. Something along.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's going to be part of the story, is him kind of being brought into the fold. But it sounds like the main person, the main focus of the show is going to be Chrissy's father, right?
Yeah, Dickie Moltisanti.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
who is talked about quite a bit for somebody that they never even showed. He was only spoken about. He was spoken about a lot in that show, but never shown. Well, I mean, obviously,
they
didn't even do a flashback or anything. Like,
yeah, in the show he was persona non grata as far as showing up, and he was only talked about as far as Christopher talking about his father in a way of, let's be honest about my father. The great Dickie Moltisanti, he was a junkie, which is right there sets up, a storyline.
But there was, Tony did all this talk constantly about family, and that's what was important to him. That's what he was doing all this for. And yet they had plenty of people that he would consider family at one point that he had to kill,
or
but it was different with
the
Chrissy.
Order to.
It was different with Chrissy. He had that personal connection with him because of the relationship that he had with his father.
Well, I mean, and they get into it in the episode.
What was Tony's relationship with his father? Did he die early or something, or take off something?
Well, first of all, Tony's father died of emphysema.
Right. Okay.
In the either late 60s or early 70s.
Right.
when it comes to
So Chrissy's father was a father figure.
he was shot down. The legend goes, I think it was episode 1 of season 4. It brings up the legend of Dickie Moltisanti. I think that's the name of the episode. I can't remember. Anyways, Tony tells him, "This is the cop that ratted your father out. They got him shot." And Christopher goes,
"Oh, right.
I heard about that. My father was carrying home a crib for me."
Right.
And he goes, "Well, he was carrying home an end table, but it could have it's just as easily been a crib."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like he makes sure that the indignance is going to set in. And, that's when Chris goes and kills this cop. And then at the end of the episode, the only thing he got out of the cop's wallet was a $20 bill. He puts that $20 bill on he goes to see his mother, and his mother wakes up in the morning, and they talk, and then he puts it on the fridge with a magnet, as if to say, "There you go. That's all I could give you for avenging Dad." But you never really know about Christopher's dad in the show.
Right.
What we do know is that this is the era where Tony B, which is a younger version of the character that Steve Buscemi played, would have robbed Feach Lamani's poker game. And Feach was played by Robert Loggia. I mean, to perfect effect. Where, he gets out of prison and he shows up and, in his mind, everything I used to have is mine now. So he shows up and he's like, "Hey, my nephew's supposed to be cutting this neighborhood." And he just walks up to a motherfucker and goes, "Hey, the fuck you doing?" And he's like, "Cutting the neighborhood." He goes, "No, I don't think so." And just whoops his ass and then curb stomps the dude's arm to where he just puts his arm on the curb and stomps on it and breaks the shit. Just straight old school gangster shit. That's some I don't give a fuck about jail. Don't care. Send me back. I'm good. And which is eventually what happens.
Right. But, what was his name again? What was the character's name?
Feach Lamana.
All right. Okay.
We're talking about a young Tony B. We're talking about a young Paulie. But here's the thing. Paulie's old in The Sopranos, so he's going to be middle age in this movie. And how are they going to pull that off? But first of all, anyone listening, I'm sorry, I don't remember the actor who played Paulie, but he inhabits that character. That is him. That is him. If you see him outside during interviews or anything, that is him. That he just is like, what the fuck you gonna do? This motherfucker over here, this fucking cocksucking faggot over here. Just at the 3-finger point. Everything. That's him. That's just him. That's what he is. And it's like whoever they get to play him better be damn good. Better be. But I trust David Chase because so far, dude, we all sat through, if you're a Sopranos fan, something like 86 episodes over essentially 7 seasons. And this television redefined television. And it did it on fucking HBO, which was unheard of in 1998. What was HBO known for in 1998? The Hitcher, Tales from the Crypt, and Oz. That's about it. Oz kind of started it, but The Sopranos really kicked it off. And not only that, it kicked off just the whole rooting for the bad guy.
The rise of the anti-hero came with Tony Soprano, absolutely.
And we all knew it, and we still rooted for him. As much as he cheated on his wife, I would watch women rationalize, Carmela needs to throw him a blowjob once or twice a week. Fuck, that's her problem. And I'm like, bitch, if that was your man, you'd cut his dick off. The fuck is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Well, I'm excited because like Sopranos was contemporary, so we got like they still drove big old cars, but they wore tracksuits and shit.
yeah,
You know, this is going to be a period
Run with
piece.
it. Run with it. Run with it.
These guys got to be styling, right?
Yes. Yes. When
I'm
the
talking
first
suits and chains and the cars and all that, the whole fucking look. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
be so balls deep in this show.
Friday,
This is gonna be like Marvelous Miss Maisel, but with fucking violence.
Friday nights are for the wife. Saturday nights are for the Gumar, and you both wine and dine the fuck out of them like you're trying to fuck them for the
Right.
first time.
All
exactly.
those stories that they told in Sopranos about the good old days. These are they.
And if you go back to episode 1, when Tony goes to okay, anyone listening knows I know this show. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. What's his therapist's name?
Dr. Milfy?
Yes, when he goes to episode 1, when he goes to Dr. Melfi and he's talking, he's like, I feel like I've come in at the end of something. Back in the day, it meant something. Now
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then there's the episode where
That was my boss's cousin, by the way. It was his therapist. Like my real boss's cousin when I worked for Guitar Center.
did
Anyway.
she look like Lorraine Bracco? Because Lorraine Bracco was hot as fuck back then.
Yeah.
I'd still throw a fuck to her.
No, Lorraine Bracco is the cousin of the guy who hired me at Guitar Center.
Oh, legit.
Yeah.
Oh shit. All right. Well,
Doesn't mean anything. I just
I mean, I'm
Rick
just
wants to know
saying.
if you can touch a titty.
No, well, I mean, I
Can you
just
make
know
that
if
happen?
If I ever go in for an interview, I won't be like, you know who I jerked the fuck off to furiously last night? Lorraine Bracco. Pass
What
that on.
interviews do you go to? What I beat off to has never come up.
Chris,
no, but
you simple fuck. How many times have I said this? I'm just me. I don't tap dance. How many? You said this the other day. Well, there's one thing that you could never accuse Rich of: not knowing where you stand with him.
Yes.
If I met Lorraine Bracco, I'd be like, "It's Miss Bracco. It's very good to meet you. By the way, the hand you just shook. Yeah, I've really, I've done.
No, I was
some
questioning
damage to you."
what job interviews you've been on where beat off material has come up.
right.
Have you met me? I will.
All right, moving on.
Fair
Moving
points.
on. We're talking about The Sopranos.
I will move. I will fucking change the tone of a room quickly. It's you either are with me or you're not. That's all there is to it.
But yeah,
anyway,
I remember
speaking
that fantasy. Was it the dream
No,
or
it
the
wasn't
fantasy
the
that Tony
fantasy.
had about? It was the
No. He said flat out in the first episode. He goes, I feel like I've come in at the end of a good thing. Because back in the
I'm
day.
talking about a sex scene in The Sopranos.
Oh, with which one?
I only remember there being one, and I thought it was in a dream that Tony had.
Oh, with Lorraine Bracco?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where he. Well, there's two, but yes, the first one is he imagines his Russian girlfriend blowing him, and then when she comes up under the covers, it's Dr. Melfi.
Yeah.
The second one is actually no, you're absolutely right. The second one is Dr. Melfi's dream about riding Tony,
Right.
and then she pulls the hair back. See, now that's when I was like, you know what? For a 50-year-old woman, that woman's still put together well. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. No, I remember watching that. Like, Dr. Milfy, what?
you know what I'm saying? Like, the other scene that is not a sex scene is he had a dream about her in the shower.
Okay.
Yeah, and she opened a door, and they never showed anything, but it was like the steamy glass door.
Yeah.
Her soaping herself up, and her breast is just blowing on nipples, hard as yeah.
How come Lorraine Bracco didn't see like a decent career out of it? I haven't seen her in jack shit since The Sopranos.
Because she made bank, bro.
She probably just said, fuck it. I don't like.
You know who she's married to?
She's got mailbox money.
You know who
No,
she's
I do
married
not.
to? Elmo. What's his face?
Elmo.
No, not Elmo.
Short red guy lives on Sesame Street.
No, he did the
He also touched little
Edward
kids.
Edward Ames Jomos.
James Olmos.
Yes, that's who the fuck she's married to.
Okay.
And so she's like good for money between the Sopranos and him. Come on now. She
I'm
doesn't
just
need
saying
to-
that she's talented, and I'm surprised that like there are many people who, Edie Falco is a great actress, but nobody knew who the fuck she was before Sopranos, and after that she carried her own show.
Well, my bad. She divorced him in 2002. Okay, so Edward James almost fucked that up. But Edie Falco was in Oz. That's the only way I knew her. And then I saw her. Yeah, first 2 seasons of Oz.
It wasn't uncommon that those early days of the HBO shows, you'd see a lot of the same actors popping up.
Oh no, and not at all. And there was like,
I think that's when they were probably still doing a lot of in-house producing, where they probably just farm that shit out now.
Well, I mean, in the early days of the interwebs, there was a lot of speculation. If Uncle Junior does get convicted, is he going to go to Oz? You know what I'm saying? Like a crossover
HBO universe.
Yeah, and it just David Simon was like, no, Sopranos is The Sopranos. That's it, and nothing more. It's not like how.
Right. And he dies, and then they bury him at the funeral home. Was that what was the show that took place at the funeral home?
6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under, yeah. I was going to say Pushing Up Daisies. Like, no. Wasn't there a show called Pushing Up Daisies, though?
Pushing Up the Little Daisies was a Ween song.
I know
wasn't
it's a Ween song. Anyway.
Yes. Pushing Daisies does seem to be...
Let's move off the subject of things that I maybe half remember from 20 years ago.
Well, anyways, I'm pumped. Like, I'm more pumped for this. First of all, I hate prequels. I hate them. I fucking hate them. I am pumped for this Sopranos prequel movie.
Right. Well, I was kind of concerned when I heard it couched as a, Tony Soprano featuring prequel movie. But now that I hear more of what it's about, I'm definitely interested. Like, I'm with you. I don't need to see the complete backstory of every character. But if you want to offer me a new story in that universe, then yeah, I'm game.
Well, I mean, it also goes through the episode where Tony is, talking to, really? Hiccups? Tony is talking to the African-American gentleman about how to, in the sauna, about how to, squeeze HUD money out. And then they go into the locker room, and he's like, "Hey, do you remember Anthony? I think Imperioli?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, the White Knight." And he goes, and then Ralphie's like, "Yeah, that's the reason he don't live in your neighborhood no more." Like, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, if it's around that time, it's not only going to shed light on Sopranos characters we've only heard about, but it's going to shed light on a period of time where there was racial strife. And I trust David Chase to do it in an even-handed way.
I did hear that's going to be part of the fabric of the show, is the racial aspects of that time period.
There's no show. It's a movie.
Yes, okay. Yeah, that's right. Movie. I keep thinking about this like it is a show. But
so I mean, they have like 2 to 2.5 hours to get their point done, and get it done. Which that worries me, because David Chase is long-winded, much like David Simon is from The Wire. That they love to have season arcs that go over and overlap into other seasons. But I trust him because he did such a good job with The Sopranos. And there were episodes like University. Is the episode where Ralphie knocks the dancer up, then he kills her, and if you're musically inclined, the episode starts off with "Living on a Thin Line" and it ends with "Living on a Thin Line" by the. Come on now, who did that song?
I'm not sure what song you're talking about.
Who did You Really Got Me?
The Kinks.
The Kinks. Thank you. It's a later song by him. Yeah, asshole. But yeah. And that's a perfect bottle episode of The Sopranos, where yes, it does move the story forward, but you could watch that episode from beginning to end, and you don't need to know everything else that's going on. It's just, you know what I'm saying? You could watch it and appreciate it for itself. And I think that's what this movie's hopefully done right going to be. It's going to be a snapshot of a period of time. And it, and you realize that things were going on before, things are going on after, but what matters is what you're looking at. And I seriously, I'm pumped. I'm more pumped for this than any fucking comic book movie that's coming out in the next couple of years. Like, seriously, I'm more pumped than, you know what? Let me speak the truth and shame the devil. I'm more pumped for this than any Star Wars movie I've heard announced. Mm-hmm. Period. End of story. Why? Because David Chase, in my mind, has that good of a track record.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be that. It's gonna be better than any of those things that you mentioned, right? I'll go see any Marvel or Star Wars movie, but I understand that this movie is going to be better than all of that shit.
Now, here's the thing: this movie will probably be a quote unquote financial failure compared to something like a Marvel movie. Like, if this movie does $300 million,
oh gosh,
like Disney would look at it and go, "Get the fuck out of here! That's what we do in a weekend. The fuck? Why would we ever fucking make this movie?" To me,
that's some serious money for that. Well, I would imagine that would be some serious money for a movie of that size, but who knows what it's going to look like.
Exactly. And this is one movie that will get me off my very ample ass and put it in my car, drive to the nearest fucking, Cinemaplex, and pay money to watch it on the big screen. I'm not doing that with Avengers 2, or Avengers Endgame. Not happening. Sorry, just not. Didn't do it with any of the DCU. Not happening. But I'll do it with this movie. Why? That's how much trust I have in the storytelling. Which I think is something that is lost in all this and in these conversations is you're getting a quality product. Aaron, the reason you and I both tuned in to The Deuce was because we knew that was David Simon who produced The Wire. If we didn't know that, we would have we'd have got around to it.
Well, I'm kind of a sucker for both Maggie Gyllenhaal and Franco, James Franco.
I mean, Maggie Gyllenhaal. That's the first. That's the only broad I think you and I would fight over. Seriously, I'm absolutely with you. Yeah, she's fucking gorgeous, and I don't know why.
I might agree with you if I didn't think that she would go for me.
Oh, she'd totally go for you. You Mark Maron looking motherfucker. Of course she would. Like half fag. Of course, yeah. I'm fat and I look like a hate crime. You look like safe. Well, no, honey, wherever you want to eat. Yeah. Of course she'd go for you. Fuck out of here. But wait a minute. I think we brought this up one time before.
What's that?
Carmen Electra. You said something about I was like, that woman is. I said something like, that woman is just damn near perfection, and you were like, oh, that's one we're gonna have to argue about. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, go ahead. So maybe I'm not. Maybe it's not Carmen Electra. Maybe it's another woman. I swear it was though. It's just funny
Another
because
Electra.
there's so many of them. Our tastes just run completely in the opposite direction. It's weird when, they overlap. It's like me and Chris. I'm like, wait, what? You like a chick under 200 pounds? How'd that happen, Chris? Oh, there we go. I just want to see if you were awake.
Google Carmen Electra 2018. It is not cool.
Is it rough? Is it rough?
Yeah.
She hit the wall hard.
It's the work you've had done is expired.
See,
Time to get new work done.
That's another thing. That's what I women, if you're attractive, stop getting work done to you. You're attractive, all right? Stop this bullshit. Fuck what Hollywood says. Stop it. I hate that shit. Meg Ryan was cute as fuck for so many years, and then now she's turned into this thing that's Meg Ryan.
She looks like she's melting.
Yeah, I'm just like, get the fuck out of here.
That's exactly where I stand on Carmen Electra. Like, there was once a beautiful woman underneath all that.
And I mean, it's okay. Look, real guys don't give a fuck about your wrinkles. Trust me. How many single mothers are out there?
Our balls are full of them.
How many single mothers are out there whose stomachs look like a cheese grater? Yeah, whatever the fuck. And they got guys lining up to get with them. You're fine the way you are. Stop. See, that's where, you know what? And I did want to bring this up. That's where true toxic masculinity, I think, lies, is how there are guys who are like, no, you must remain 25 for the rest of your life. No, fuck that.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Did you guys hear the story about how the American Psychological Association declared masculinity, all masculinity, toxic, essentially?
What?
You didn't hear this story? You didn't hear the story? I thought I shared it with you guys.
No, you're gonna have to elaborate on that.
Okay. Well, give me 1 sec. I'll pull the article back up. Yes. It's traditional masculinity officially deemed harmful by the American Psychological Association. A new 36-page report from the APA spotlights the organization's first official warning against what some call toxic masculinity. They go on to describe traits of toxic masculinity as competitiveness, violence, anti-femininity, search for achievement. Researchers are conforming to such. I'm sorry. I'm skimming this article. You gotta forgive me. Anyways, long story short, anything that makes a guy is considered toxic now by the
Was this decided
American
by 10 women?
American Psychological Association. I'm trying to find like psychologists. The APA recommends should seek to not only understand the intricacies of masculinity in its context, but also encourage community figures, teachers, religious leaders, sports figures, parents to become educated as well. They may require psychologists to examine, quote, their own assumptions of and countertransference reactions towards men, boys, and masculinity, unquote. So, gentlemen, if you're competitive, that's toxic.
Cool.
I'm not even sure how to respond to this. I mean, this.
Okay. No, Aaron, I know how I know you well enough to know that means you're just dismissing the entire story. But here's the deal. Strap in. This is the real deal. This is what kids growing up these days are going to be dealing with this type shit. End of story. They're going to have one moron in their entire school that buys into this shit, and they're going to find as many kids as they can and drill this shit in their head. And what's going to be the outcome of it? That's my question. You know, I've told this story before on the show of the guy I went to middle school with, but yet when I met him in high school, he goes, "Oh, I never went to high school or middle school with you. I grew up in the Bronx," and it was all bullshit. And then we got into an altercation, and we ended up in the office, and the school counselor was sitting there going, "Well, Mr. Richard, maybe in some people's minds, they've been places, but they haven't really physically been there. Have you considered that?" And I was like, "No.
That's called lying.
That's called bullshit." But I was supposed to buy into this bullshit. Why? Because it made him comfortable? Fuck him. He's a liar. I got the fucking school pictures. I got the yearbook to prove he was here. That he didn't grow up in the Bronx. Didn't matter. This is the bullshit that irritates the fuck out of me. Because it starts with nonsense like this, and then it spreads like a fucking virus. And in 20 years from now, it's accepted as, well, it's a fact. Why? We've heard it all our life. And if you speak up against it, hater, men's right activist, misogynist, throw all that shit at you. So what are you supposed to do? And that is a direct question I'm asking you, Aaron. What is a person supposed to do?
Well, the ASA doesn't determine the curriculum for kids' education, so I'm not sure exactly what lines you're drawing.
Oh, but they could influence it. I think is what Rich is getting at. They can influence decisions that people make on education. They can influence the decision makers.
Still kind of thin. I mean, anyone can be considered an influence with the right information. There's no direct link between it. Let
me ask you a question, Aaron.
Right.
If your son plays an online game and he desires to win the game, ultimately, would you consider that toxic masculinity?
No.
That's what these people are saying. It is toxic masculinity.
Yeah, I understand that.
And what I'm getting at is you, move to retract your honor. Not you. Some people might underplay this and go, well, whatever. It's a bunch of idiots. It's a bunch of morons. No one gives a shit about what the American Psychology Association has to say until it ends up in the DSMV, until it ends up being taught, until it ends up as we all agree upon this, but no one took our vote. But we all agree upon this, right? And if you don't, well, there's kind of a problem there. You're the problem type situation. And yeah, you can say, oh, I'm projecting, I'm assuming a lot of shit, and you're absolutely right. And you know why I'm assuming it? Because I've watched it happen for the last 30 years. I've watched things that people have said that will never come to pass. I've watched pedophiles attach themselves to the LGBT community and try to piggyback on them to get their sexual orientation accepted. But that was never going to happen, right? But I heard a lot about how it's never going to happen, but it has. Now, does that negate the rights of LGBTQA, whatever the fuck people? No, it doesn't. That just means the slippery slope argument is valid. And when people try to say, no, you can't use that. Well, I have actual evidence to say I can because I've watched it happen now. I mean, if you really want to get down to it, the slippery slope evidence started with trickle-down economics. How's that working?
Depends who you ask.
Well, if you're making money, if you have enough money to invest and your shit looks good at the end of the day of trading, yeah, it works for you. If you don't have any money, You know what trickles down? Same thing when someone's standing at the top and people are at the bottom. Shit, that's what trickles down.
Right. I follow your thinking on it. I just don't. I'm kind of confused as to what the result of this I guess diagnosis of the nation is supposed to be. I mean, in this report, it states that let's see, pressure for boys and men to feel to conform to certain aspects of traditional masculinity can lead to poor health outcomes, including higher rates of suicide, substance abuse, violence, and early death. So, I mean, it's being looked at as a direct health risk to men. Where anti-femininity and, I guess maybe I kind of follow it, because what they list: anti-femininity, achievement, eschewal of appearance of weakness, adventure, risk, and violence, right? These are all factors in this toxic masculinity diagnosis.
By the way,
I guess where the anti-femininity comes in is that there's this idea that females are weak.
By the way, I
right?
just want to say real quick, everything you described. Would you read that again, please, if you would?
Well, this is like the third time that we've been through it. What are we reading it again for? What?
Well, no. The list of things. Okay,
I was just recapping.
Okay, well, the things that you recapped, I've never attributed them, nor have most of my friends, to either masculine or feminine. That's just kids being kids.
Wait, what does this have to do with being kids? Who's talking about kids?
Okay, how do you indoctrinate people? You start when they're young.
I think. Wait a minute. You may be misunderstanding part of this, because this isn't that all males have this and they need to be cured of it. If they're looking at aspects of male behavior and if they're a health risk.
That's one way to look at it, to frame it.
Well,
that way you can
defend your point of view from this report, because I'm not seeing
my point of view is that there's going to be people who deal with young children who read this, and not necessarily now, but 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, take it as fucking gospel, and they act accordingly. And so they start indoctrinating accordingly. Competitiveness is toxic masculinity. Really? We wouldn't have modern society without competition.
But what they're saying is not that everyone who's competitive is showing examples of toxic masculinity. It's competitiveness is one of the factors that can drive the behavior of toxic masculinity.
Oh, well, I'm glad we got that semantic out of the way. Come on now. You're how people
starting from a start. You're coming from a starting point of there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. So
no, absolutely, I'm not.
Okay, so then if we can agree that there is such a thing as toxic masculinity, then what are the things that represent it? And that's what they're listing out in this. This is not saying all men are toxic and represent these characteristics that we need to cure them of in order for their own safety and for others. It's identifying what they see as a problem. I'm not necessarily sure that toxic masculinity should be like a classification. I'm not fully on board with that. But if we're going to go down that route and say, okay, well, let's say this is an issue that needs to be addressed. Well, then these are the
bigger issue. You're missing the bigger issue.
I'm not missing. You're
are
assuming a lot of things.
Okay. Great, wonderful.
I mean,
you're still missing the bigger issue. The bigger issue is, why do we, if there is toxic masculinity, if there is, which I do agree there is, toxic masculinity would be like, I wanted to join the military to prove my manhood to my father, because he was in the military and his grandfather and his father was in the military. Yes, that is toxic. No,
right.
If you want to join the military, you better have better reasons than that. or else you're going to end up being a shit bird. Okay? Now, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Why do we never hear about, for every case of toxic masculinity, toxic femininity? Why is that never talked about?
Well, because what are the aspects of that are endangering someone's health?
Hypergamy, get married to a guy who makes more than you, and always, until you get married, constantly monkey branch from one guy to the next guy who might provide more for you, and to the next guy who might provide more for you.
What's toxic to the person about that?
What's toxic?
Yeah, I mean, it might not be the preferred. Okay, but that's...
You think someone's with you because they love you, but they were with you out of what? Because, well, this person can pay my bills and make sure the house was this big. I live in a fucking 6,000 square foot house.
Rich,
this motherfucker can get me into a 10,000 square foot house.
I get you. Some people are greedy. That's not a fucking diagnosis.
Of course not. Because they're defining the diagnosis. Because women dominate these quote unquote sciences.
Oh, are you fucking serious? That's where you're going to go with this.
Am I wrong?
Are you wrong about what?
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Come on, man. You're smarter than that, and I'm smarter than that. What is this prove me wrong shit?
No, if you look at the social sciences,
yes, we are in agreement on that. It means absolutely nothing. That you pull that out like it's going to prove something is ridiculous. That's what I'm taking exception to.
So the fact that I pulled out the social sciences is ridiculous. I'm just trying to make sure
that it's the women, in the predominance of women in that profession.
Absolutely, and you wonder
toxic masculinity.
Okay, stop.
Right.
If men, no, you don't. You can keep talking. I'll talk over you. No problem. If men somehow dictate the culture of the STEM industry because they are the most represented sex in the STEM industry, then how is it that the social sciences aren't dictated by women when they're the most represented people who speak for that industry? Come on now. Stop with your bullshit. Stop. I get it. You like to play the white knight.
No, fuck you, Rich. You're saying blankly that it's because they are anti-men that's where this report comes from.
It doesn't
matter.
No,
he's saying it's because there's predominantly women is where he didn't say the anti-men. He said because there's predominantly women.
Yes, there are predominantly women involved in the organization. That's not where this comes from, though.
And you're shocked that all of these studies all of a sudden turn up showing in the last 30 years, start showing up saying, masculinity and boyhood and, we need to drug these children and, masculinity is toxic and you're shocked by that when women dominate the field? Are you serious? Are you fucking serious right now? You're going to say that to me with a straight face?
Rich, if you're going to continue to go down this road, we don't have anything else to talk about on this issue.
Well, I guess we don't have anything to talk about on this issue.
All right. So is that it?
I don't know where we go from here.
Back to where we started. No one's going to pay for the wall. I'm not giving an inch. He's not giving an inch. Right back to where we started when we were talking about Trump and the wall. I'm cool with it. Because I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're making wild conclusions. You're making wild conclusions that you have zero proof for. So, I'm not buying it.
I want you to understand something. I want you to really understand this.
Rich, I'm not going to sit here and be talked to like a child, okay?
Okay, well, then you know what? Then take your headphones off. I want you to understand this, though. I absolutely respect you, okay? But I totally disagree with you on this subject. And I'm not going to give an inch. Why? Because I haven't heard anything that tells me to give an inch besides, so that's your stance? Really? That's your counter argument? Okay. Then we're good. Then you know what? We'll never again will this subject come up between us. At least on my end. we're good to go. What do you want me to fucking say, Aaron?
Oh, he really did take his headphones off.
Well, more power to him.
We're on Twitter at @unregimentedpod. You can email the show on regimentedchristianmedia.net. It's new listeners. You guys show up every week. Yeah. We'll all make nice. We'll be back again next week. See ya.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.